Hi everybody, I'm Robert, this is Brett, we're from ClickEx, and we're here to share with you a bit about the work we've been doing in the Pacific. What we do is one of my most passionate areas of expertise, so I've promised to stick to a script to keep it on track. So if you'll excuse me, I'll keep it narrow and focused. So, since we began, we've turned the South Pacific, which is an area of about 22 countries and about a quarter of the world's surface, into a banking and finance laboratory. It covers all kinds of time zones and the international date line, and the results speak for themselves. The ClickEx network is already ranked the top mobile and FX money network in a multi-country deployment in Asia by IFAD. We're the #1 low-value payment system for interbank remittance corridors in every corridor we operate in, ranked by the World Bank. In 2011, our institutional peer-to-peer payments platform to enable banks to compete with low-cost remittance operators won the Financial World Innovation Awards in London, UK. We also won the Best New Mobile Technology in Silicon Valley in 2012. And this year, we're in the top 6 community banking initiatives in the world, ranked by the Royal Chartered Institute of Bankers in London. And this year, we've already been named the best new fintech new business in the world by SWIFT at SIBOS in Dubai. And of course, we're funded by the United Nations Capital Development Program for our financial inclusion and capital mobility platforms. So what do? We build banking systems for emerging markets. So with all the support, the technology, the infrastructure, and the expertise, what's the missing piece so far in what we've done? Today, we're going to share with you something that we've been working on in the Pacific for the past 3 years, and now it's ready for the mainstream. Critical to our ability to lower the costs for cross-border international payments is to take away the foreign exchange risk from central banks, regular banks, governments, and the everyday end user. Is this possible? Of course it is. In prime markets, we move billions of dollars, trillions per day. But what about the little guys? The small currencies and the end users? Don't they deserve the same kind of protection from fluctuating assets, prices, and exchange markets? Well, this is exactly where ClickEx comes in. We're backed by the United Nations and SWIFT to clean up this whole mess, and to do it in a way that can scale up to institutional payments. Did you know that banks move more money every week than every credit card and debit card and prepaid card in the world move in a year? Even a fraction of those kind of volumes would systematically paralyze recent attempts such as Bitcoin to take on global institutional scale. A bummer if you fixed your blueprint at birth. So obviously we need something a lot better as the financial industry. ClickEx has proven institutional markets that are transparent, self-stabilizing, and a portfolio-driven, asset-backed regional currency can drop remittance and cross-border FX risks by over 90%, from 20% average to around 2% average costs, in a completely regulated, central bank improved environment. For example, Bitcoin's costs are already about 100 times ClickEx's cost, and going up. The Bank of Mexico, the governor of the Central Bank of Russia, senior European, Chinese Treasury officials have all called for a move away from the US dollar as a major reserve asset due to political stability issues. The IMF already has the SDR, Special Depository Receipt, since the 1960s, but it's not tradable, despite over 60 central banks using it as a reserve asset. Today, we're expanding this technology. With the backbone of the ClickEx transaction platform, we launched a new internationally tradable reserve asset called the Globally Stable Dollar, the GSD. The GSD is a systematic response to the fiscal, political, currency, and technological crises that have surrounded our markets recently. We know it already works. We proved it in some of the most illiquid markets on Earth, across multiple time zones, currencies, mobile and internet banking platforms, and of course the international date line too. And today we will bring the GSD to life in Asia. And to honour our host nation, it will begin with a par value equivalent to the Singapore dollar. But before we go live, I want to remember 4 things. 1. ClickEx reduces systematic risk in foreign exchange between banks. ClickEx provides direct access to central bank markets for regular banks and citizens. ClickEx has a global regulated institutional buy-in across 4 continents, and even available at retail level in the Pacific. And ClickEx is coming to Asia today. What if you could build something that took away the risk of counterparty settlement, What if you could build something that gave governments and central banks a method of protecting their sovereignty and maintaining monetary independence in a rapidly converging yet destabilized world? What if you could create continuous link settlement for everyone? What if something like that has been built already in the South Pacific with backing from the biggest players in the industry, the support of central banks across 4 continents, already integrated over a dozen commercial banks, and completed 25 million or so transactions over about 100,000 user accounts. It's already been proven that the cost of transaction between countries can be dropped by over 90%, and is already working with the likes of the IMF, the IFC, and several governments to protect banks, citizens, and currencies from risk. Well, that's why we're here. So let's turn it on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So what you're seeing here is a new currency seeded with about 10,000 Singapore dollars. Again, I said we've launched this in some of the smallest and most illiquid markets in the world, but there is no liquidity constraint. The way we built this works on the principles of the SDR and the special depository receipts, and the way many big international NGO organizations, including ourselves, regulate internal balances when working across borders and across currencies. So let's try adding a few dollars and cents into it and see how the system automatically diversifies the assets across a pool of assets which we have already engaged the governance framework. So it raises 3 questions. How is a global asset-backed currency regulated? The answer is in conjunction with the world's central banks. We've already had meetings in the past 2 weeks with 6 central banks looking to adopt it. In the past 2 weeks, the framework is in place. Question 2, is it secure? Yes. We've been running this trading technology for 4 years in the most illiquid markets in the world. And what about integrity? As already mentioned, this has been running. It has the approval. It is regulated across 4 continents and been working at the wholesale level for 4 years. So keep watching. This is already at work. And one day soon, it will be part of your portfolio and maybe even your wallet. So thank you.